You and I spoke about it afterwards, Simon.
Yep.
Bassini was on to me again on Friday afternoon, and then it pretty much deteriorated further from there.
Mm-hmm.
A senior member of the EFL has been in touch with me this morning saying we've had no approaches.
Nope.
There are others. We are aware that there are others interested, but at this point, we have no knowledge of them.
Yeah.
So, again, as I am emphasised or tried to emphasise with you on Friday to Bassini, the most important thing in all of this is the football club and where it may or may not end up.
In fairness to Bassini, they don't have to have been alerted the EFL right now, because if he hasn't got a deal with the people that own the football club, there's no point alerting the EFL about anything. Right? That would, in my mind, the EFL should do it differently. He should be pre-approved and then be able to buy the football club from the people that own it. In the world that currently exists, he does a deal with those that want to sell it to him, and then he goes and gets past the fit and proper persons test and the owner's test with the EFL. Look, I mean, anyone that listened to that interview, he's a fantasist. He's a water mitty. You know, I don't know why we have to give these people the airtime, because he's the former owner of Watford Football Club, and people go and look back at that particular time. You can see what happened to him afterwards in terms of football's reaction to his behaviour. You can see the ridiculous antics at Bolton. I don't have any particular dislike of Laurence, but he's had his audience now. He's had his time, right? And we've given him the opportunity to say precisely nothing and come on the show and start shouting his mouth off about who he's going to bash up and who he has to settle scores with, right? And we gave him that opportunity. He is ridiculable because he says contemptible things. And whatever I may or may not think about in the past with Birmingham City Football Club, I don't have any agenda against them. Every football fan that supports their clubs deserves better than to have somebody come on a radio show and talk the kind of nonsense that Laurence Bassini spoke of. It's nonsense. I don't think he even believes it himself, but we have to have the tragedy of having him have this nonsense for about 15 minutes of our life that we'll never get back. We put him in the picture about what we think of him, and I really do hope for the betterment of Birmingham City Football Club that there isn't some sort of fissure that opens up that he can crawl in between and take someone's money and use it to fund Birmingham with. I hope that's not the case for them, because there'll be no good coming of it.
It's certainly not looking likely. I mean,
it's laughable.
The sensible money, Simon, is that we've heard the last of him.
What odds would you give on him being the owner of Birmingham City before the season starts?
I would be incredibly surprised. This football world is a very strange business, and out from underneath stones crawl various things. Right, this one needs to crawl back from whence it came. Right, I don't know what Lawrence Businesses is. You can go and look at the 15 companies he set up in February 20 when every other business was being locked down. Lawrence was opening up companies left, right, and centre. None of them seem to have a net worth of more than 50p. But the bottom line is, if Lawrence has got the means he's got, for the love of God, why are you coming on a radio station announcing to a couple of people on a radio station about which points you have to prove? Look, we've seen the body of work. People can say to me, you're a failed football club owner. Fine, I'll take that accusation. I don't happen to agree with it. I ran out of money after 10 years. But that's a cheap shot. I can take it. He, on the other hand, has been disqualified from football for 3 years. The allegations that were made about him, this is not me being scandalous or slanderous. These are matters of fact. And when you give a guy an audience, and every time he comes on, he talks about things in the most nonsensical, random, irresponsible, reckless, ridiculous, uneducated, unethical way, you've got to ask yourself, if you're Birmingham City, unless you're an Aston Villa fan and West Bromwich Albion fan and Wolverhampton Wanderers fan, nobody should want...
Oh, you're rubbing your hands.
You shouldn't want anybody like this. And Lawrence running around threatening people or whatever, I couldn't give monkeys about that.
So, Bassini apart, Simon, looking at Birmingham City, you think of Birmingham now, the second city, etc., etc., and you think the two great clubs, Aston Villa and Birmingham City. So Villa, there's a distance now in terms of where they're both at.
Because they've got grown-up owners in there. Look at the owners. You've got to give David Sullivan and David Gold some praise.
Yeah.
And David Sullivan knows full well I'm not a particular fan of his. But the bottom line is that whatever they did or didn't like about them, they held it together. But they then sold it to Carson Young. Look at the state of that. And look at the state of these transactions. Aston Villa might have had Tony Zero in there for a period of time. That wasn't the greatest ownership model. And Randy Lerner, who was steeped in football and sports franchises, albeit the Cleveland Browns, but notwithstanding it. But they've now alighted upon Wes Edens, who is a proper grown-up person that understands.
Villa. Oh, yeah, Villa. For sure.
So then you look at it and say, and Jeremy Peace, when he was at West Bromwich Albion, was Jeremy, whatever he was and wasn't, he knew how to run a football club at times.
So if you have an image right now of the ideal owner for
But it
poor
certainly
Birmingham
isn't. It certainly
City.
isn't Laurence Bassini.
What is it?
Well, it certainly
What
isn't.
is it? What do they need?
It certainly isn't Krusty the Clown, which is Laurence Bassini and alternate guys, even with a sinister bit. But the bottom line is that someone, like you say, second city. It beggars belief that
Great
Birmingham
potential.
aren't able. But potential is something that people always say about football clubs that never achieve anything.
You must have played there, Danny, with virtual full houses.
Yeah.
I mean, fantastic support,
Used to
Birmingham
enjoy
City.
playing there.
Yeah.
Tremendous support. Yeah.
So what do they need, Simon? They need do they need a UK owner? They just need an owner who is what he says and means what he says and says what he means.
But that's what every football club needs, certainly in the end.
Stability, a grown-up,
but what you
as
need,
Simon
yeah,
said.
absolutely. And you mean I would think that what you do, anything that's diametrically opposed to Laurence Bassini. There's your answer. It's quite a big, wide audience, isn't it?
As you say, they've been through the mire with Carson Young and David Sullivan. I think at this time is distancing himself from Bassini.
I should think David Sullivan's like Usain Bolt in the other direction right now. If he's got anything to do with him in the first place, I'll be banding David Sullivan's name around like left, right, and centre. Who would want to be attached to that? Have you seen some of the stuff on social media over the weekend about Laurence? I mean, for the love of God! I mean,
I've seen some of your stuff on social media.
Well,
That was
absolutely,
enough.
and that was bad enough. But the bottom line is, if you look at the situation, we gave him his airtime. He didn't use it very well. He didn't turn it into anything meaningful for the Birmingham fans. All he turned it into was everyone going, "The hell was that? Who the hell is this?" Back to the circus.
I blame Jim.
I think Jim's
So,
entirely
Jim,
responsible for it.
with your journalistic experience and your investigative skills,
And your nose for it,
I think you would have vetted somebody before coming on.
I think Jim wound him up.
If somebody says I have the wherewithal and the desire to do it, you interview him.
Okay.
And we have previous knowledge of Laurence Bassini, who keeps on turning up, Simon. Admittedly on Friday like a bad penny, but he turns up. But will he get his hands in the club? Can we draw a line under him now? Do you think?
I think if I was a betting man, I would think it was a distinctly unlikely possibility.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.